This is Sky One, a part of the British Sky Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Games World. Tonight is review night, so please enter the House of Games.
Hi, and glad you can make it once more to the House of Games. Nice of you to drop in, Neil.
In tonight's show, our review panel will be dissecting Jack Nicklaus Golf on the Mega Drive, Asterix on the Game Boy, and World Wrestling Federation's Royal Rumble on the SNES. But to start us off, muster your wits and brush off your knuckle dusters for Brawl Brothers, the fast-action beat-em-up on the SNES. The evil psycho Dieter's made off with 3 of your mates, so a quick rescue is imperative, as otherwise they'll be turned into clones for Dieter's private army. Choose from 5 main characters, Lord J. Kazan, Wendy, Hack and Slash, each with their own special fighting moves. Then take on Dieter's clones over 10 different stages from downtown Bayside through the jungle and for the final showdown at Dieter's command centre. Finish each stage, rescue a comrade and decide whether you want to use the special powers for the next clone-bashing level. Play on your own or even against a friend in this option-loaded outing. Whatever you choose to do, you'll need to master the controls if you want to make a dent in Dieter's armoury. Use your wits to find the exit to the maze-like storm drains and grab those weapons and power-ups to help take out the bad guys.
Brawl Brothers is a sequel to Rival Turf, and they haven't called it Rival Turf 2, which is hardly a surprise if you know anything about marketing at all, because Rival Turf wasn't that hot. It's got a couple of the same characters from Rival Turf, but they've changed their names to Hack and Slash. Yeah. And I don't really like scrolling beat-em-ups as a genre, but this one really is quite beefy.
It's a double dragon sort of final fight rip-off. You walk along, punch people in the gob, kick them in the nuts, they fall over, you do it again, and that's it. Unfortunately, it all gets very tedious very quickly. But the graphics are nice. There's a good 2-player option, which allows 2 people to do exactly the same thing. Of its kind, it's probably the best on the Super Nintendo, but there are lots better games out there, Street Fighter 2, that kind of thing.
This is a walk-through beat-em-up. Your average sprite, your average plot, rescuing some poor kidnapped girlfriend. Graphics, mediocre. Sound, mediocre. Everything is just down the line.
Well, I don't really like scrolling beat-em-ups, but I think I would give this one 8 out of 10.
I'd give Brawl Brothers 7 out of 10.
I'd give it 2 out of 10, and I think that's quite generous.
Not a bad game, but not brilliant. As far as street fighting's concerned, well, Street Fighter 2's got it all. Anyway, after that violent start to the evening, let's hope that Jane can provide us with a bit of light relief.
If you've been watching our games reviewers this series and thinking, I could do that, then why don't you? All you need to do is send us a letter or a video telling us why you should be a reviewer, and it's as simple as that. Paul Carter sent us a letter, and so we sent a film crew round to his house to watch him and his friends review some of the latest Super Nintendo releases. And you could do it too, though as you'll see, Paul Carter is quite an exceptional young boy.
Hi, my name's Paul Carter.
Oh, my name's Scott Starr.
And I'm Tony Kelly. And we're going to find out if Starwing's really as good as people say.
There is a basic storyline to Starwing, which is you have to fly to Venom and kill Andros. Your father is being kidnapped and put in a black hole.
Starwing is the first game to use the Super FX chip. It gives... Starwing is the first game to use the Super FX chip. It gives it incredible speed and smooth scrolling polygonal graphics.
Starwing is really easy to pick up. There are 4 control settings, 3 difficulty settings, and a special training level to help you get used to it.
Paul has chosen the easiest route in the whole game, which is level 1. All the people start talking to him now, like Slippy and Falco and all that.
Sound a bit demented when they speak though, because they go blah 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 blah. If you fly through all these loops here, on the last loop there will be a power-up, which gives me a more powerful blaster. from both wings and it's a lot faster. I probably think the best thing about Starwing is the smoothness of the sprites, and maybe the worst thing is you can't talk back to your colleagues, because when they start slagging you off, you really do feel like telling them what to do with it.
I think this is the best game on the Super NES out at the moment. The graphics are brilliant, the scrolling's brilliant, all due to the new FX chip. I'll give this game 9 out of 10 because no game is perfect.
Believe all the hype, Starwing is brilliant. It boasts brilliant scrolling and brilliant sound. This is the first game using the Super FX chip and it is brilliant. I'm going to give it 9 out of 10. Excellent.
Starwing still probably is the best game on the Super Nintendo, but it's just a shoot 'em up with some snazzy graphics, sound and control system. It's worth all the hype that was in the magazines, and I'd give it, just a moment, 9. Okay.
For all you golfing fans out there, time to grab your clubs and swing into Jack Nicklaus Golf on the Mega Drive. There are 3 courses to choose from: the English Turn Golf Club, the Baltuzal Golf Club or the Sherwood Country Club. There are also 3 modes to choose from: stroke, skins or tournament. Play on your own or take on up to 3 other opponents, each of which can be customised to play like real pros and provide some real stiff opposition. Using the easy-to-pick-up control-by interface, getting into the game is a doddle, but you can still get in a spot of practice on the driving range and putting green. Use the on-screen tape measure to work out distances to the greens and club choice, and keep your eye on the player statistics, which are updated after every round.
On its own merits, it's reasonable. You know, the control system's okay, you play a bit of golf, not much more to it. But in the light of the competition, it looks very poor indeed. The graphics are appalling. Some of the courses look like Legoland, and it's all a bit soupy and slow. You'd be much better off with PGA Tour golf.
Jack Nicklaus Golf on the Sega Mega Drive is possibly the worst golf game I've ever seen in my entire life, and I've seen quite a lot. Anybody who plays golf anyway is somewhat strange, and you've got to be a bit strange to play this. The graphics are awful. It looks as if some sort of post-nuclear heat haze shimmering in the distance of every frame, and the control system also sucks big time.
It's got a couple of unique features. For example, when you change your aim, the screen completely redraws itself so that you get the right perspective there. Another brilliant thing about it is that it has got a woman golfer, and it's got a woman's tee, which is brilliant, of course. It hasn't got that many courses, but if you'd like completely fed up with PGA Tour 2, I'd definitely give it a try.
7 out of 10. It's a very good golf game, but it's not the best looking one.
I hate golf. I hate this golf game. 0 out of 10. It's really bad.
It is good, but it's not as good as you-know-what, so I give it 7 out of 10.
Jack Nicklaus is good, but as far as Mega Drive golf games are concerned, PGA Tour 2's got all you need. And now, over to Jane.
As Amiga owners well know, joysticks come in all shapes and sizes, but most of them operate in much the same fashion, using micro switches like these. By using the stick to make contact with the switches, you tell the computer which way you want to go. But all that looks set to change with this revolutionary new stick.
And this is the Magnaglide Super 8 joystick. I'm going to rigorously test this joystick to destruction, but first, let's meet the interesting man who developed this very interesting joystick.
I developed it to overcome some of the problems with conventional joysticks. It's very easy to use. The joystick is self-centered by a magnetic field, which offers very little resistance to the user and making it superbly smooth to use. It also means that you don't have to hold the joystick down with your other hand while you're using it.
It's all gone very badly wrong for your Italians in the second half. Well, the Magnaglide 8, you have your basic button configuration, and as all buttons do pretty much the same thing, we can leave that aside. And a little knobbly joystick, which also does pretty much the same as any other joystick known to man. The difference with a Magnaglide 8 is if you turn the thing upside down, and you see under here, a very clever configuration of magnets. These magnets trigger off each other, and that's how you do your directions. Great idea. One of the problems I found is that because there's no actual sense of hitting a microswitch, it's very easy to just go over accidentally. One thing which Adrian forgot to mention, very probably deliberately on his half, because there are magnets inside here, of course, you get it anywhere near a data disk and you can have major corruption problems.
One of the major advantages to you, the user, and to the manufacturer is this mechanism is in fact cheaper to produce than a conventional stick. So all these advantages should come at no extra price to you.
So all in all, it's a nice idea, but a joystick is a joystick is a joystick. Good example, but nothing unusual.
Now get set for some real rough and tumble as 12 of the all-time World Wrestling Federation greats come together to decide who's going to be the new champion. Based on the real event, World Wrestling Federation Royal Rumble on the SNES allows you and a friend to pick from the likes of The Undertaker, Randy Savage, Mr. Perfect and Ric Flair and go out into the ring to battle it out for the championship title. Each of the characters has his own special finishing off move, and you'll need to master the controls to get the best out of your wrestler. Try a one-on-one bout, a spot of 2 or 3 tag team brawls, or go for the big daddy of them all, the Royal Rumble itself. Up to 8 wrestlers in the ring at one time. No fouls, no penalties, and no referees. Last man standing in the ring takes the title. Remember, no pain, no gain. So get in that ring and take what's coming to you. Wow.
Very large, overweight men jumping back in a ring with spangly suits on, and this game is probably for you. As wrestling games go, it isn't bad either, but wrestling games do tend to be somewhat limited in their gameplay. Great graphics, big sprites, lots of animation, lots of grunting and groping, but it's not really big in the gameplay department.
I wasn't really looking forward to playing this game, but in the end I did find it really playable and really funny. The Royal Rumble's the best bit when you have 6 in the ring and everything, and you have to chuck them out. And the choice of players is really good because you can have all the different ones have special moves. And also the bit where you go out the ring, you can get out the ring and throw chairs at people is good. And the fact also that you can knock out the referee. This is the sort of game that really is a 2-player game. It's a big laugh. I think it's one of the most playable games I've had this year.
This one's from Acclaim, and it features the Wrestling Federation fighters. You've got all the top ones in there, like The Undertaker, and actually Hacksaw Jim Duggan isn't there, which is a bit of an omission, because he's my fave. You jump in the ring, smack people about, throw them about, jump on their heads, and it's a good laugh, actually.
If you like wrestling, this could be well for you. 7 out of 10.
I'd definitely give this one a high 8 out of 10.
I'll give this one 8 out of 10, but strictly for the wrestling fans.
Personally, I didn't like it, but the reviewers do, so who am I to argue? A good game for wrestling fans. To continue on with the flavour of the evening, wrestling, take a look at these 3 game clips from the World Wrestling Federation series and see if you can work out which character is the odd one out. As usual, answers are after the break. Welcome back. Did you guess the odd one out? Well, you'd be right if you picked out the British Bulldog from the clips. But it's not just because he's not American like the others. The real reason is that while Hulk Hogan and The Undertaker are still firm World Wrestling Federation favourites, the British Bulldog has decamped to the rival organisation WCW, the World's Championship Wrestling outfit. Syndicate on the Amiga is a far cry from the sheer brute force of wrestling. Instead, it involves the sophisticated world of the chip. In a future world gone crazy, world government has fallen into the hands of multinational corporations and people are in the grip of a technical revolution called the chip. Designed to alter a person's perception of the outside world, to make the drab and disgusting look palatable, inserting a chip in people's heads means control of the masses and thus the world. Criminal syndicates are taking over the corporations, using custom-built cyborgs to hunt down rivals and grab a greater slice of power. You are a young syndicate executive and want to have a share of that power. Customise your corporate logo and take your pick from 50 enormous missions, each set in living cities with rival agents and law enforcement departments. Do your worst to destroy the opposition and impose taxes on your territories to develop newer, fouler weapons to enforce your will. Guide your agents wisely, mastermind your schemes for success, and battle it out for control of the chip.
Syndicate is set in a future world like Blade Runner. In fact, the worlds I've seen look very much like the Blade Runner set. Now, we didn't play this for very long. A game with this, obviously, this much depth. You don't want to give too hasty an opinion, but it does look absolutely stunning.
Put down your weapons.
What surprised me was that from reading the press before I had a look at it, I thought it would be one of your average sort of thinking games, but actually it's not. There's a lot of blasting in there, which is a bonus, and you can blow practically anything up on the screen, so it's got to be good.
Syndicate on the Amiga raises some problems. We all like to think of ourselves as pretty hip, trendy dudes, but this is basically a Spuds game, cross between Populous, Megalomania, and every other god-type controlling sim you've ever seen. But unfortunately, or very fortunately, it's a very, very good game. I can't recommend this highly enough. You've got to be a bit of a spud to do a lot of gameplay. You've got to sit there and play it for hours on end. But fortunately enough, it will be great fun.
Syndicate, now here's a bit of originality for us. It's the first good Amiga game I've seen for absolutely ages. It's a forced 3D perspective role-playing action thing. It's really difficult to describe, but that's part of the beauty of it. There's so much in it. You've got millions of characters all interacting with each other, loads of explosions, loads of weaponry, and loads of fun. It looks complex initially, but if you sit down and play with it for a couple of hours, you'll soon realise this is one of the top games on the Amiga this year.
I think this one has to have a preview score of 9 out of 10, if you like this kind of game.
9 out of 10. It's brilliant.
I give Syndicate 9 out of 10 because it really is very original, very fast and very good fun.
3 9s, great scores for a great game, which means it's going all the way up to game heaven. Time now for the latest news, reviews and previews of all that's happening in the world of computer and video games as we plug into the database.
First up is big news for all Mario fans with the imminent release of Mario All-Stars on the Super NES, with 4 Mario games on the same cartridge. This cartridge also features Super Mario Brothers The Lost Levels, previously only available in Japan, and some say the toughest of all Super Mario tests. Watch House of Games in a couple of weeks' time to see what our review panel thought of the game. Mario's big rival Sonic won't be outdone, however. He's now the hero of his very own comic. We'll be featuring it later on in the programme.
You'll have to go a fair way to beat this one. Yes, if it's terrible golf puns, it must be International Open Golf out now on the Amiga. A must for all golfing Amiga owners, if not quite up to the phenomenal standard of PGA Tour 2. Fancy a day out at the seaside this weekend? Well, Brighton's the place for you. The Brighton Centre, to be precise, where you can visit one of the UK's biggest games fairs. The whole event will start at 10 a.m. this Sunday. Get there early for bargains.
Next stop is Troddlers on the Super NES. Troddlers works along very similar puzzle platform lines to Lemmings, as if you hadn't guessed, but it's a classy game in its own right, well worth investigating.
Last week we featured the launch of the next game. Now it's time to see what our home review panel thought of it. It is, of course, Asterix on the Game Boy. Obelix has unfortunately been kidnapped by Roman centurions, and only you, as Asterix, have got the gall to get him back. Set over 4 worlds within the realms of the Roman Empire, you'll need all your wits about you to get past the patrols, wild boar, exhausted pirates, hedgehogs and balmy birds. Watch out for flying fish and make sure you pick up all the power-ups and magic potion to beef you up for your journey. Grab the keys to gain entry to the special bonus rooms. Remember, this is a race against the clock, so pick up your heels if you don't want Obelix to have a menhir as a gravestone.
Asterix on Game Boy is, believe it or not, a platform game. We haven't seen many of those on the Game Boy, have we? It's good fun. The graphics are nice. It's got the usual power-ups, potions, all that kind of thing. Where it does score highly is the fact that everything's really well structured, and if you're coming across a big problem, there's always a power-up there for you. It's really well designed, really well thought out. Not very original, but I mean, everyone likes platform games, so that's fine.
The best platform game on the Game Boy is obviously Mario 2, and it's not as good as that by any means, but it is extremely well done. One nice feature of it is that you have this path, because you go along and path the Romans like that, which, you know, don't get in all the other platform games. I didn't find it instantly appealing, but after I'd played it quite a few times and found myself like packing the Romans in style, I did feel like going on.
Of course, Asterix being one of the only decent things ever to come out of France, with the exception of Vanessa Paradis, who unfortunately doesn't feature in this game. Looking more than a little like Mario 2 on the Game Boy, you have to do the usual sort of running, jumping, collecting stars, coins, and the saving of Obelix. You'll make some refreshing change from some captured princess or girlfriend. Great graphics, great sound. It's very hard, so if you're a bit of a games playing genius, this one could be for you.
8 out of 10 on Game Boy. It's a really nice little platform game.
8 out of 10.
Well worth having a look. 7 out of 10.
Asterix on the Game Boy is great, and good news for Mega Drive owners is that the Mega Drive version looks to be just as good. Let's see what Jane has to finish the show off with.
Those pesky computer games get everywhere, you know. Not content with just being games, they find their way into films, records, countless pieces of merchandising, and now into comic strips. The Sonic comic is the biggest new comic release of the year. House of Games flick through the pages.
It had to happen. Sonic the Hedgehog, the world's most famous video game character, is now a brand new comic from Fleetway Editions. Comics and video games are the most popular activities amongst young people. So what more natural than to marry the two together? Like a video game, there are many stages involved in producing a comic strip. First off, a writer comes up with an idea and writes it down as a script like this. This, in fact, is your preview of a brand new series we'll be running later on called Kid Chameleon. The artist then comes into the picture, literally, as the script is given to him, and he will draw a page of artwork, not unlike this. We will then take this to a colorist who produces a color version, full color, as you see in the comic. Stage 3 is the letterer, who's a very important member of the team who actually provides the words so that the characters can speak. So this is how a finished page looks before it actually goes to press.
This is my favourite. Look at that. That's like a Picasso Sonic. Anyway, and if you'd like to know how to draw Sonic quickly and simply, I'll show you how it's done. It's very simple. You stick his eyes in. His eyes always go in the middle. Serious eyes, because he's very intense. He's got a lot on his plate. He's saving the world all the time. And then we put all the rest of the stuff in. It's got kind of pointed little head, little ears that go on the side there. And last of all, spikes, because he needs those spikes. And that's it. And that's just so accurate, because that's exactly how it looks. I know, because I've drawn it.
Sonic the Comic is designed to showcase the very best of Sega's video game characters. And that's not the end of it. There's loads of other strips we're going to be looking at developing. We're even hopefully going to be working with Sega on some brand new top secret projects. So whatever happens, there'll be a lot of variety in Sonic the Comic.
Well, time has once more run out here at the House of Games, I'm afraid. But we'll be here again next week for more games reviews and hardware features. Tony Daly will be amongst our review panel, so we'll see you then.
Rescue is back on Sky One screens in half an hour's time. But first, we move from the House of Games to the houses occupying space on E Street. Don't go away.